Disclaimer, I don't usually use the robot voice, but I don't have time to record right now, and the robot has the same name as me, so it's the same thing. Also, this video is based on my opinion and my observations of what's happening, but does contain logical sentiments. So, as you all know in K-pop, a lot of the time scandals happen for a multitude of different reasons. Some of the times those scandals are related to a little thing called sajigi. In the context of music, this term is used to refer to unethically and/or illegally boosting a chart ranking, chart manipulation. NPR gives as an example entertainment agencies bulk buying their own CDs, or, probably more likely in the digital era, using bots or computer farms to repeatedly stream songs and hike up chart numbers. And that's what's most generally thought about when we refer to chart manipulation. This is a behavior condemned by K-pop stans and the Korean public, and when a group is accused of it they receive tons of hate and are called frauds and other not nice words. In Korea, chart manipulation is considered criminal activity under Korean law, and can have a penalty ranging between a fine of up to around $16,800 or up to 2 years in prison. However, stans, myself included, tend to ignore the unethical part of this definition. You see, in all K-pop fandoms invariably, whenever an artist has a comeback, fans tend to urge everyone to stream or buy the new song, EP, album, or to mass vote in K-pop TV shows. This leads to fans of an artist buying the same album or song up to 10 times each, just so that their favorite artist can chart higher, or stream it tens of times per day. In the case of the latter, they often use special guidelines to surpass any algorithms that might prevent this. It seems innocent enough. At first, wanting to support your favorite artist is not a crime after all. However, when you think about it more, you realize that it's pretty much the same as the example given before. Whether it is a company or a bunch of fans doing it, the result is the same. Artists are ranking high in the charts, not because the song has gone viral and the general public likes it and listens to it, but because someone, or in this case the fans, have strived to give off the illusion that a song is more popular than it was meant to be. When K-pop fans tell you to stream or mass buy an album or a title track, they are essentially telling you to become chart manipulators, to dissolve the truth. And K-pop companies are not oblivious to this. It's why they release so many versions of the same album, for fans to buy into it and manipulate the charts in their favor. Upon making this realization, a plethora of problems start to come up. First of all, there is the obvious moral injustice of recognition. A lot of people, even if misguided in this judgment, get validation from a high chart position about the quality of a body of work, and consequently the artist behind it, and the choice to stan them. However, as one should realize, popularity, what charts are meant to represent, isn't always indicative of quality. Furthermore, there is this delusion that if an artist charts high, or gets more music show wins, they are going to become more popular. However, that is not the truth. Almost no one sees the top of the charts and decides to listen to it. What happens is a song gets popular and, as a consequence of that, rises to the charts, not the other way around. Especially one has to take into consideration is that this method is not sustainable. Fans are going to run out of money or time to stream, and the song quickly drops down. As to not offend any fandom, I will bring up a Western artist, Taylor Swift. A few years ago, she released Willow. It debuted at the top of the 100 chart in the US, and in the next week fell to number 38. The reason for that was that a lot of her fans, she has a lot, listened to it and streamed it, bought it, but the general public never became fond of that song, which is to be expected. It is an indie track after all. However, when she released Midnights, it stayed on the number 1 spot for weeks, since as a pop track, it was more popular. We can realize from all these that this chart manipulation is of no benefit for the fans or the popularity of an artist. The only thing that happens is that fans lose time and money just to support an artist that will never know them, for a song that they might not even like. The only time that this is excusable is when there is lesser known artist that actually needs more money. But, majority of the time this is done to support idols that are already millionaires, they don't need this type of support. Furthermore, when a song is bad, but achieves a high position on a chart, it gives out the message that said song can become popular, and other songs like that can become popular as well, so I company creates more bad songs, which fans buy, and the cycle continues. However, one can argue that every fandom is doing it, so it's fair to do it. After all, songs can still go viral and new groups do gain success, so it's not all that bad. I don't disagree with this, however one has to take into consideration that amongst popular groups, some have larger fandoms that are more dedicated, or obsessed, which means that the groups are getting all the awards that are based on charts, voting, which in South Korea is most awards. This goes against an artist's right to be recognized for producing a body of work that appeals to a majority of artists. The true problem behind this comes into play when we exit the sphere of South Korea, or even Japan, and other Eastern Asian countries, onto a more global scene, mainly the Western world. As mentioned before, the West is no stranger to mass streaming and mass buying. However, not all fandoms are as obsessive with it in comparison to K-pop, where it's a universal phenomenon. If we take a look at the Billboard Hot 100 of this week, only 3 songs are by artists known to have cult followings: Antihero, by Taylor Swift, and Die For You, by The Weeknd and Ariana Grande. Focus on Ariana Grande. The other songs, though containing famous artists, Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, and once again The Weeknd, their fandoms are not as dedicated to mass streaming. As for the others, their songs either receive tons of radio play or have gone viral on TikTok. If you are an ARMY, you would know that another song was meant to be at the top 10. Like Crazy, by Jimin, was originally supposed to be in the 6th position, due to his high sales, but he ended up dropping down to 45th, after a lot of said sales were deemed invalid. The reason is simple: a policy was implemented, which stated that the same email address could be used to buy a specific song, only once in a lifetime, instead of multiple times across different weeks. On its own this seems like a fair policy. We can assume that one email corresponds to one person. Therefore, if one person were to buy a single, they wouldn't need to buy it again to listen to it, since they already have it. This means that if the same email is used, it doesn't correspond to more popularity, because that same person has already paid for it and is the same person listening, meaning that the sale isn't organic because it doesn't connote a wider reach. Think of it this way: a track that was bought by the same person 100 times isn't as popular as one that was bought once by 100 people. However, K-pop stans were quick to call this a blatant racist attack against Jimin. And we got to admit the timing was pretty shitty. It is unclear if this is a new policy or not, but it's for certain that it became known after the whole thing with Jimin. It is reasonable at first to call this a targeted attack. After all, Jimin was the only one that got affected. What has actually happened is that K-pop fans have become so used to their own chart manipulation, that when an attempt was made to correct it they immediately got offended and started shifting the blame onto blame, instead of looking at their own mess. It is unreasonable to call Billboard racist for this action, because they are just trying to ensure that their results are valid and reflect what was actually popular at the time. If they were racist, they would have done the same to BTS in their prime, Boy With Love, Savage Love, Dynamite, Butter, etc., or to other K-pop groups rising on the chart, New Jeans and 50/50, or in other charts, such as the Billboard 200, when the songs were actually trending, but this was never done before. Then why was it done only now? Some have asked. Well, now it was done more than ever before, and so just now they realized the severity of this phenomenon, where a song that wasn't popular with the general public was ranking so high. Let's face it, like Crazy hasn't gone viral. Just look at the views and the streams on Spotify weekly in the US. It was 83rd, English version, and 138th, Korean version. Keep in mind Cupid by 50 was 43rd on Spotify, and it is only in the 85th position of the Hot 100. There is a greater conversation to be had about the validity of another chart factor, radio play, the times that a song is listened to on the radio, and how it can be affected by record labels paying for it and sending it to radio stations. However, whether ethical or not, when a song is played on the radio and is heard, and even liked, by a lot of people as consequence, regardless of the means behind it, becomes more popular. Before the digital era, this was the main way through which songs became popular. However, after streaming services and TikTok, songs can go viral in other ways. However, radio still is a primary method of popularizing a song, especially to older audiences that don't use streaming services and listen to the radio more. What's more, young people also listen to the radio. Therefore, radio play still is a valid method, and is not chart manipulation since it is indicative of popularity of a song. It is nevertheless unethical manipulation of what the general public has access to, but not chart manipulation. As such, it is irrelevant to this conversation. Upon realizing this, it becomes obvious that K-pop fans have become numb to their own chart manipulation and get offended or feel attacked when means are taken to stop it. This is affecting the reputation of the K-pop community and paints them as obsessive, which they are, and whiny when they complain about it. It is more importantly hurting the reputation of K-pop artists that are deemed as frauds that are not actually popular and are reliant on said obsessive frauds. Finally, this is really taxing on the psyche of fans that feel like they have been treated unfairly and are hurt by something that was really their own fault. What I'm trying to say is that the K-pop community as whole should make a deep introspection and really reconsider streaming and the tolerance we display. It is undeniable chart manipulation that doesn't really benefit us in any way. It only hinders our enjoyment of music. It forces us to listen to songs we don't like, or to not listen to songs we do like, just so our favorite artist can come out on top. And this is worthless. It only helps bring more money towards people that don't really need it. And I don't want to be someone that appears sanctimonious. Just mere weeks ago I was streaming Set Me Free and avoiding listening to Kitsch, even though I didn't really like the former and liked the latter much more. Upon making this realization, however, I will try and change my ways, and I hope we all do the same. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you disagree, want to further discuss or share something that I have missed, feel free to do so in the comments below. Just please be respectful so that we can have a civil conversation. Have a great day or night, depending on where you are. BYE.